Happy Saturday, February 17th, 2018. I've got some fun news about the upcoming Roto Grip Idle, plus a few pictures, and then I've also got some more stuff on the Sonic and the Drive. So the information for the Idle gets uploaded on the website. It's this solid magenta. People are kind of mixed. Then a couple pictures start popping up that really don't look much like the stock photo, which then has people confused. And is it magenta? Is it purple? Is there the phasing in it, which is kind of that white streaking that you see, or is there not? And the answer to all is apparently yes. Chris Schlemmer gave us some interesting information to clear everything up, and I think it's going to make this release a little bit more special. So you buy a High Road or Phase 2 or Sherlock, they're all going to look pretty similar. Most stuff on the market does look pretty close to the stock photo. However, with this one, and I quote, "It's a new formulation of the nanomaterial and a unique blend of pigments to get the magenta color." So some will look purple, some will look a little bit more red, some will look berry, some will have phasing, some will have no phasing at all. We can't control that mix. This is the very first time we've ever made a single color nano cover, so as you can see, there's going to be a spectrum of colors. The next interesting thing that he said was, like I said in my preview, stronger haywire. Plus, he also added, for those who love the Marvel S, you now have the perfect replacement for that ball. And this all, to me, makes it fun. The staff ordering date for it and the Codex was yesterday, so my wife and I are on the way, or they're going to be on the way when they get shipped out Monday, Tuesday. And we know what the Codex is going to look like, but we have no idea what our Idols are going to look like, and I think that's fun. That's a pretty cool deal. You know, they could look alike, they could be really different. They could both look different from the ones that you get. So every ball have its own look. You could have 4 of them on the ball return and know exactly which one yours is without so much more than a glance. So Schlemmer also had one shot clip of Alex Hoskins throwing it on Facebook, and it rolls pretty well like what I expected, or more what I really hoped. It's got that really round, hard arc shape to it, so like a Loco Solid type reaction, just like 2 arrows stronger. So I really can't decide which one I'm more excited for now. At first glance, I was kind of like, sweet Codex, Idle, kind of, we'll see what happens. But I was pretty well all about the Codex, and my wife was kind of the same way. She's not big on that purple berry kind of color, but Codex really reminded her a lot of her Special Agent, and so now I'm really looking forward to both of them. The wife, we'll still see what happens with the wife and the whole color thing with the Idol, but we'll see. So. Now, at the same time, we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, though. It's kind of hard not to, because they're really cranking stuff out pretty fast, which is kind of a good thing and a bad thing. I don't really know what the rush is. They'll announce something, and before it even comes out, something else is already announced, and then they'll want us to be talking about the stuff that is closer to being released, or the stuff that already is released, instead of the new stuff that got announced. And it's a little weird, but I mean, so in the last several months, just since November, we've had the All Out show off, the Daredevil Danger, the High Road Nano, Hypercell Fuse, Hustle HYB, Sonic Drive. Now the Idol and Codex are coming out March 9th, and this is all just since November. I don't know if they're trying to keep pace with everyone else, because there's a lot of the other companies are releasing stuff really quickly right now too. But the market is really flooded, so that could be, it's bad news if you don't have a whole lot of expendable income, seeing all the really good stuff that's coming out, especially considering that it makes the decision for if you're just getting 1 or 2 balls, it makes that decision that much harder when you have a million of them to choose from. But it is tax time. It is tax time. We're coming into major tournament season. National starts in a few weeks, so it's just tons and tons of crazy everywhere if we can all keep up. Now that I've had some time with the balls of the hour, though, the Sonic and the Drive, which have been out for a little over a week now, the Sonic is really settling in. It seems to have some kind of a homing device for the pocket or something. It rolls heavy enough to where you have to give it some room. You've got to give it some oil. You've got to give it a little bit of angle. But it's one that you can really stay inside of and feel confident projecting and being firm with. And again, that's kind of my thing, is I get a little grabby at the bottom, because I tend to be so clean and so fast out of it that it just shoots down there, and then it just trying to get things back, and it's just the angles on a house shot too are a little difficult. You move a little bit right and it catches friction too fast and it goes, and then you get into the oil and then it just won't pull back up. But the Sonic actually does that, so it's gonna roll up unless you throw it super awful. So it's one, like I said, you can keep it in the oil, you can fade it through the middle, not worry about it puking, because again with that cover it's not super aggressive, so it's going to blend the transition well. It also kind of sits on the back end. It's not like a hook set motion, like kind of like the Chris Barnes type thing that he likes to see, but it's not as aggressively continuous as like the Intense. I mean, the Intense goes hunting for the 7-pin. The Sonic just goes straight back through the pocket. And a lot of people think that a ball that's super continuous is better, and while it can be for the best carry, a little bit of deflection is kind of necessary. You want it to go straight back through the pocket so that everything kind of properly, all the pins kind of take out the ones, the ball gets the 1359 that it's supposed to get, and then those pins in turn take out the other pins in the proper manner. So the Sonic does that for me. It rolls so heavy, if you throw it too good, it can be really continuous, but I found that when that happens for me, I've kind of underestimated it or just not respected how strongly it rolls, and I don't have to help it at all. And when I try, because it does roll very heavy for a storm ball, that's when it can either be too strong on the back end or too strong through the pins. So the first week or two that I had it, I liked it, but I just wasn't clicking with it. I knew it was my fault, though, because every time I got out of it too clean and worried about it getting back up the hill with any kind of strength, those are the shots that would typically react the best. So this last Monday Night League, though, after it was kind of a so-so first game, it usually takes me a bit to loosen up. I finally broke through, and this is kind of a big deal for me because I'm very mental. When you get so much into the pro shop side of things and all the technical stuff, you can get caught up in trying to make everything too perfect or trying to force everything to happen. And so it's details and control, and it just really tightens you up. So I hadn't relaxed with this ball yet, and once I did, it really came to life. It's not a ball that you have to help or be soft with at all. I think I think that the firmer that you can be with it, and the straighter you can play, actually, the better it is. So just shim it in there, splash the pocket, beat the hell out of the pins. That's what it kind of likes. So you don't need to try to roll it or coax extra shape out of it, because it will roll up in the mid lane. I really can't say enough about it. It's just a ton of fun. Now, the drive, by contrast, is the sport equivalent. You can't tell me that it looked bad for Belmo on TV last week. Yeah, he lost the game, but he threw a couple bad shots. He chopped a spare. The first 5 frames were just stupid solid, though. Especially you collegiate players should be looking at this one really hard for a 2-ball, maybe a 1-ball if you're in the 500 rev rate area. It's basically an IQ Tour solid for the big rev crowd. Mine's on the rack of the basement, though, because there's better options on a house shot, especially for me, but it will be the first ball into the bag for Nationals. Like, I'm not leaving for Nationals without that ball. I don't think that I've been this split on a ball before, though. If I'm down to using the drive on a house shot, I'm in the middle of just an unexplainably awful night. But it's everything that you want on a sport pattern, in my mind. It's smooth, it's controllable, it's strong, it creates friction, but it doesn't have a mind of its own. It doesn't fight you. It does what you make it do, and the better you are, the better it's going to be. Can it be used on a house shot? Sure. I mean, can the Sonic be used on a sport pattern? Yeah, it's making the trip to Syracuse too, but those two are really polar opposite type reactions for me. So I didn't have much to talk about this week, if you couldn't tell, but I think I've said all of this stuff about these balls each, several times. But as I continue to use the ball and continue to watch others use them, that reveals those little bits of character that I may not have completely seen or realized when doing the review, so I just wanted to add the extra bit of information in when I can. Not like I want to add more to my plate, but I'd like to start talking professional tournaments and giving my thoughts, but again, I don't like the whole spoiler thing, especially with social media. It's kind of hard if you don't watch it right the very first time, and even when they tape these shows, it's hard to not hear about what happens before the show finally airs. So I've considered making separate videos for those. At one point, there was a plan to do them on the podcast, but I didn't want you to have to try to avoid the spoilers, just completely avoid the podcast because you didn't want it spoiled. So It's going to be its own thing if it happens. It might even be like a Patreon thing. I might just like do a vlog instead of this. I mean, this is kind of a vlog anyway, but it might be more like a traditional vlog instead of me writing stuff down and reading what I've got here. But that probably will end up being a Patreon thing. I'm getting those details worked out too. Should have something for you next week as far as some stuff that I want to do and want to see what you guys want. So. Also next weekend will be reviews for the Idol and the Code X. So another busy weekend ahead, but we always have a lot of fun with those. So definitely looking forward to it. That's all for now. I do have a Nationals preview that I made, so definitely want to check that out if you're headed to Syracuse here in the next few months. So that should be pretty cool. So thanks for watching.